Thank you guys for having me here today. So I tend to be a bit animated and I use my hands, which is a problem when you keep doing this. If you can't hear me, would you, especially in the back, would you just slowly start standing up? Because at some point I'll go, I wonder why all those people are getting up in the back. And it'll be my good cue that I've animated my hands a bit much. Slide. I have done companion animal stuff for, it's probably closer to 20 years. I think that was an old blurb about me. But I have been doing critter stuff for moons. I've got some good background and I'm all proud of it. But working on the Adopters Welcome material really taught me to sit back and pay attention to some of the other stuff that I've been accidentally tuning out or missing. I kind of want to start the session by letting you know a lot of the stuff I'm going to be telling you today, the stuff I'm sharing with you, will probably piss you off. And I don't want it to. In one sense, I kind of do. There are some radical ideas I'm going to bring up, and I don't want you to get stuck on getting so angry at them. I want you to get angry at them and then circle back to me at lunch, dinner, send me an email later on. I want you to get your questions answered because the groups that have made the most use of this information are the folks who have actually gotten really frustrated at it enough that they've taken it to their team of their volunteers, the rescues they partner with, the other shelters they deal with, their staff, and they've figured out how to make it work for them and how to answer their questions. So I'll get into that more, but before you poo-poo it, before you go, oh my gosh, she's talking crazy talk, this stuff is data-based. It's not just an idea I had and plunked down. What's really great are that the ideas in Adopters Welcome aren't new. Some of them are based on more research. Adopters Welcome is, see, this is why I keep notes, because I am really used to doing this as a day long, and when I try and make it short, it goes down the tubes. When I was with HSUS and I helped write the guide that I'm introducing, it was a really neat chance to realize this isn't a new thing. This is stuff that groups have been trying to do. And now we had some data coming into us from the groups themselves, from national agencies like ASPCA, Maddie's fund. There are other groups that are doing the research that are based in here. And that's super because it gives us something to fall back on besides gut reactions. Who's in the crowd here? I understand you're rabbit people, but is there anybody that with an organization that does animals other than rabbits, guinea pigs, cats, dogs, and anything else? All right, so there's a mixed crowd. Some of what I'm saying will apply just to bunnies, but it should apply to everything. The last time I gave this presentation, I gave it to a horse crowd, and equine rescue, I saved one of the slides on purpose because it actually applies really nicely to your organizations. Next slide. What is the Adopters Welcome approach? It's about finding more adopters than you have, really connecting with them, and being able to support them, being ready to support them if they need it. It's also about realizing everybody's coming to you with some level of knowledge. It may be high, it may be low, and that's why I say if they need it. A lot of times, I personally would approach adopters giving them an absolute brain dump. Here is the encyclopedia that you must memorize to be a good owner. And that's a lot to fill up a head. When you find that you're giving information in a way that the people who are potentially adopting can handle it more easily, they're able to come back to you later on because they trust you more. They're okay with you. You didn't do the major brain dump and fill up their head and send them running in the other direction. Now, it's kind of a key thing. When you first look at all the research for Adopters Welcome, you're going to realize that some of it fits you directly and some of it is based on dog and cat information. And for me, as somebody who has always looked out for the other guys, it kind of drove me nuts. I'm like, well, what about the rabbits? What about the birds? What about the donkeys and the mules that the equine folks are picking up? There are things in Adopters Welcome because it's a whole approach that give you good tidbits. So some of the data may be dog and cat specific. When you look at some of the other things that you can do, they're not dog and cat specific, they're human specific. It's about how you approach the people that you're wanting to court as adopters. So that's kind of nice to keep in mind. There's more information that's out there. We deal with a lot. We see a lot of negativity in our jobs. What we take home is kind of, well, it goes back to caveman days. days, years and years and years and years and years, millennia ago. You and I didn't sleep in houses. I'm walking along, it's getting kind of tired. It looks like a nice cave. I think I'll set up here for the night. And I went inside. Oops, didn't realize there's a cave bear in the back. I ran for my life, I got out, it panned out, and from that moment on, you damn well better bet your bunny butts that I checked out what was in those caves next time I went in. I threw rocks, I got to where I was sleeping for the night, and I staked it out. I listened for snoring, I looked for bear scat, and then I went inside the caves. We see, we see overgrown teeth. We see disgusting ears. We see cats, listen to me, bunnies that really are sitting in squalor and shouldn't be. We see all kinds of lousy stuff. And we let our negativity bias influence us. Negativity bias is basically letting all the things that hit us that are negative affect us more than neutral or positive ones. When was the last time you went on a tirade with one of your friends saying, oh my God, the muffins at that place were absolutely ordinary? No. They gave me a moldy muffin. I can't believe they gave me a moldy muffin. Sometimes you might be like, that was the best breakfast ever. But you don't usually go on for 20 minutes and post it to your Facebook page about the neutral muffin, do you? No. It impacts our decision making. And folks who do research have realized that it impacts us a great deal. It affects our decision-making skills, and for us in the field where we see a lot of negativity, that's impacting our decision when we meet normal people. We are suspicious of them. We are going, oh, you're a perfectly normal person? I bet you could not have a clue about bunnies. Let me tell you, because I live with bunnies. Tell me you haven't done this. Tell me you haven't met other bunny people and tried to tell them how to make the best diet for their rabbit or what have you. All right, so keep that in mind, because I'm going to come back to that. Next slide. Way back in the day, animal sheltering and rescue, we started to take some of the things that we were seeing and we tried to address them so that they prevented disaster later on. We saw that people had too many pets, so we started requiring spay and neuter of all the pets that left us, and even the ones that were in the home, because we didn't want more bunnies, we didn't want more kitties, we didn't want more doggies. It seemed to make sense. We got a lot of animals astray or abandoned, so we started saying, look, indoor-only bunnies, indoor-only cats, dogs only in homes that have fences. Landlord issues. People would always give up, and still do, pets because they were moving and no pets were allowed, or the landlord had found out. So we started checking renter permission, whether you owned your own home before you adopted pets. ... The list goes on and on. Here's the thing. All of these, when we stuck them in place as a field and fed off of each other, we had no data. We said, this seems like a very good idea, because if I check that somebody can afford to pay for it, they're not going to give it up because it's too expensive. We never looked to see if that was actually the case. The term that I use that applies to this is illusion of control. It's a belief that we can control uncontrollable things. It's stronger, again, when there's an emotional output. Please raise your hand if you have ever gotten ill. Oh, look at that. Now, could you please tell me if you timed that on the Thursday, Friday that you had already planned off so it didn't take out of work time? Okay, we got one person in the room and his nose is growing because his name is Pinocchio. So, guys, you're looking at me. I have moved more times. Like, I now live in North Carolina. I had just moved to Rhode Island. Between the time from, I stopped counting, between when I was 17 and 27, I moved 13 times. Didn't mean to. I have downsized because of divorce. I have moved friends cross country because they've gotten a better job offer and it was stupid not to say no. We can't control what happens in our life. I didn't plan to get a divorce. Wasn't my idea. I was like, we got this, I got this mortgage, it's gonna last forever, it's gonna be good. If somebody made me sign a document saying, the rest of your life, you got it. I'd love to, but man, I'd be in breach of contract on my life on a daily basis. Keep this one in mind too. Next slide. See what's next. computer apparently omitted the pictures on this one. You can laugh and talk about it. There's something called confirmation bias. There's a lot of research that's going out there. Interestingly, my favorite one is that there's been a study, oh wait, no, there have been 5 that I know of, 5, about giving pets as gifts. Please raise your hand if you are comfortable with pets being given as gifts. And the room barely moved. I have like 3 hands, I think. There have been 5 studies because we didn't believe the outcome on the first one, or the second one, or the third, or the fourth. You know what all of those studies have found? That pets that are given as gifts are no more likely to be surrendered. Interesting. Now, I lied to you just a moment here. There are 5 studies. Only 4 say that they're no more at risk. So you're expecting the 5th one to corroborate your ideas, like, yeah, baby, it's that 5th one. That 5th one's going to show it. You know what the 5th one showed? Oops, turns out they're less likely. The 5th study did not gel with the first 4. The 5th study said, actually, you are less likely to surrender your pet or give it away if it's given as a gift. So, if you would like to say you are running the risk of all of your animals going home and being the least at risk for being given away, you should make sure they're all given as gifts. Oh, it hurts. The toast that you had for breakfast is now like, it's done digesting. It is sitting in your stomach. It is horrible. Guys, confirmation bias is when you can look at something and you see facts and you choose to say, la, 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 la. Can I just point out what's happening and has been happening since the last election? Because there's a lot of this going on in politics, right? Don't worry about that for now. Let's just talk bunnies. Next slide. Phew, okay. I would like to say my animation is off. Go ahead and put this all the way up. Apparently when I worked on this at night, I wasn't... Yeah, keep going. Go back. This is a problem. It is over here. Hey, let's all swivel. I'm gonna... All right. So, take it back a few until you have just the little pictures of dogs or cats for the animation. Okay. So, thank you for your patience. I'm glad we can stay awake by rotating. If I look at this and I try and give you stats, again, it's dog and cat based, so bear with me. Go ahead first, copy up. In American homes, there are about 144 million dogs and cats living in those homes. Now these stats, I'm going to put quotes around, they're a little old, but the folks who have been pulling all the stats and counting, they do it only every few years, so these are the most current. Go ahead and bring up the next one. The dogs and the cats taken in by U.S. shelters annually, 6 to 8 million. And that number's pretty big, right? 6 to 8 million? Could you go back up though and just stare at your eyeballs? 144 million are in homes and doing fine. Go ahead and next slide. That means that fewer than 6% of pets overall entering shelters. Now I know this is dog and cat based, so withhold judgment here, but some of these numbers are going to line up and make sense with bunnies too. Go to the next slide. I had a hard time adjusting the numbers, and look, my slide is still weird and off. Go ahead and advance, because there should be a little piece of the pie. Nope, take it back. Okay, so if you look at both of the slides, I'd like to say for the record, this is my worst presentation yet. Pretending there are lots of pictures here, most of the animals are doing okay. It is that weeny little piece of the pie on all those animals that need our help. We're basing our policy, all of our policies for the most part, on that weeny bit. I am planning for disaster. I'm not planning for what is happening all the time. Oh my God, I'm almost done. This is terrible. Keep going. Keep going. All right, here's the deal. We're going to take through this fast. If the animation doesn't work, just bear with me. Most of the animals in our lives are doing okay. Even if we've got someone that has too many pets. Next one. Okay, let's give it. Go ahead and jiggle that forward all the way. Keep going, fill up the wall. When we ask people, keep going, because that is going to be a big fat red wall over there.
It's working over here now.
Well, look at that. All right, so stay over here with me. Overwhelmingly, animals are okay. But when we ask our potential adopters to come in and adopt from us, we ask a lot of them. And we know from data on our adopters that they are not keen on approaching us to begin with. Our potential adopters think we have damaged goods. They are worried about coming to us. And when you're thinking, I might be getting something that's kind of dented already, and then you deal with this. Go ahead and fill out the application. I'm going to call your vet. It might take me a little bit to get back to you because I'm rescue and, well, I have a full-time job. I'm going to need to see proof of home ownership. Your current pet needs to get spayed or neutered. You probably need to have either a fence or the right bunny setup, so you gotta have that all in place and have it right for this rabbit, even though you're not going to get it for sure from me, but I want it in your home before I get there. Your children need to grow up. I'm going to inspect your home because you know you might have electrical items, and if I find a cord in your house, any cord for any object, I don't have a really hot. You need to bring in your other bunny for a meeting because even though I have done 20 rabbit-to-rabbit introductions, and you said you've done 5, I don't buy into it. Because you know, I haven't been certified in bunniness. I want to go ahead and bring in all members of your household. Even though your husband has lived with rabbits for 45 years and he's currently out of the country, what if he suddenly doesn't like rabbits? I'm going to go ahead and point out, you know, Halloween's coming. That's very dangerous because rabbits could get out of the house. Well, people come up to your door. Why are you letting those people come up to your door? Ugh. And then Christmas is there. You know what? After that, there's New Year's, there's Easter. We should just hold off, really. Like, let's wait until the holidays are over. You need to go home and think about it for a day, and then I'll decide if I think you're good enough. So we've got all these adopters that are coming to us. And again, they have some level of experience. Even if they've never lived with a rabbit, they probably have been able to identify what a rabbit is in the world. They probably know that there's this thing called Google that they can turn to as well to give them advice. And if you make yourself too hard, they're not coming at you. So that complicates things. Go ahead, next slide. I was really excited when I saw this part of the pie, because I'm like, yeah, look at that, we're almost halfway. And then I realized what this means. No, people are still getting their pets from other sources. They're getting them from friends or relatives. They're getting them as strays, especially for cats. Breeders as dogs, and I suspect, for a lot of people, they think they're getting their bunnies from breeders, whether they're the backyard Joe Schmo kinds or official ones. I don't have data on that. Private parties, so that's Craigslist, that's at the Walmart parking lot. Bred at home either accidentally or purposely. Keep going. I'm gonna keep going, keep going. Oh my goodness, keep going, keep going. All right, I am sorry, because there is definitely something that is not right, because now I have 2 slides that don't even work. Let's look at that one. Nope. Go back, nope, go back. Go forward. This is a very bad presentation.
Controllable event and it's okay.
All right, so let's stick with what's behind me right here. If you pretend that there's a rabbit right there and that there are people right here, then we'll be good off. Essentially, you need to keep a couple of things in mind when you're setting up policies. You want to bear in mind how your policies are helping out folks. Folks being your animals. You've got bunnies now. If you found more adoptive homes that were the same caliber, but you just got more of them, that would be good, right? And that is what I'm suggesting. I am not suggesting you give away bunnies willy-nilly. I am saying you need to connect with more of your adopters because you can help more of the flopsies, midsies, and whoever else comes to you. One of the other things you need to realize with your policy is how is it affecting those potential adopters? The ones that will come to you and could be potentially turned away. The ones that will come to you and could come back to you if you need more help with something. Your agency, because whatever these guys tell the community and your pets, this is a much better slide when it's actually up here all the way. Whatever they tell this crowd, that impacts your bottom line. That impacts your donors, your volunteers. How many of you had people say, oh, I just couldn't do that? And you get from conversation, it's because you give 24 hours a day, and they'd be willing to give it an hour here and there in a week. We can still use that hour. Once you lure them in, and it's not so scary, that's good. But if all they think we're about, thank you, is really hard times, then they're not coming to us as donors, as adopters, as free word of mouth. That's so super important. What our policies also impact is our competition. This dude over here that breeds, maybe it's a dudette, it's kind of an androgynous person. That person is selling animals, and that person somehow has extra cred. because they're selling animals and they're new, so they're not broken, right? And people don't mind going there. So when we set our policies, we have historically only been looking out for just animals. We have not been looking at how that impacts our adopters, the community, our agency and our bottom lines, or the worst one, how that helps our competition. Next slide, we'll see what comes up. Let's go with an old school policy. Now, when you look at information on landlord approval, the question has been asked, cats and dogs. I am going to do a very dangerous thing because I'm almost about to contradict myself here, or maybe that's not the right word. I don't have specific data on landlords and bunnies, but I'm willing to gamble. And this is bad because I'm telling you don't go with the gut feelings, and here I am going with the gut feeling. I'm willing to bet that it is almost identical for rabbits. When agencies that demanded landlord approval stopped requiring it, and they tracked returns, they tracked if those animals were given away, how those adopters were doing, nothing changed when they stopped requiring it. Nothing. So we were adding a step. We were already the minority sourcer. We had people that were getting our dogs and our cats other ways. So now we're the minority provider and we're putting barriers up. Let's make it even harder for these people to get from us. The old policy is, if you've got landlord approval, then we'll give you a pet. No proof, no pet. So all of a sudden what happened? The imaginary bunny that is on the other slide, but not on this one. That rabbit's still in our care. You know, those dogs and those cats, they're in our shelters, getting sick. They're in our rescues with people feeling overworked because they can only take so many out of those municipal facilities. Maybe they're open admission themselves and they still can't take more, their animals are getting sick. So those animals stay with us. If that's a single Fluffy, Fluffy is still with us looking for a home because Bob and Joan could not get rental permission. Meanwhile, the adopters are here and they're dreaming about bunnies, cats, or dogs, or whatever. And they're like, well, we tried to adopt, but it was so complicated. Like, I rent from my aunt. She doesn't give a damn, but she's not going to put it in writing. And all of a sudden, I've lost them as adopters. Even if they get the bunny, they've gone through that process, and we know from asking our adopters, how do you feel about the policy? There have been lots of studies. It's too hard. It's too invasive. It's too nosy. We may not feel that way. Guys, we're not adopting to ourselves. I mean, we are. I understand that probably everybody in this room has like multiple ears in their house. I get it. But realistically, we can only hold so many. We need other people. And we have to take that gamble. And it's easier to go somewhere else. That policy means that, hell yeah, I have baby bunnies, keeps getting proliferated. That keeps happening. What does it do to us? We don't get the bequests that we want. When someone passes away, they don't have us top in mind. When it's the end of the year, they're trying to say, oh my gosh, I've got to do that last tax write-off. Who are we going to pick? They don't pick you. They don't volunteer their time because they think that you're crazy people. You know what is worse than the crazy cat image? The crazy bunny person. I say this with all good intentions. Like, there's a whole different level of unsettling. Like when I tell people that I have pregnant guinea pigs in my dining room, like their chins disappear, like that's a freak show. All right, so here's the thing. Anybody still uncomfortable with, okay, just don't even talk about adopters and their landlords. Just don't even bring it up. Anybody uncomfortable with that? Be honest. Yeah. Come on, raise your hands. I know you are. Yeah, okay, well here's the deal. It's okay to be uncomfortable with it, but come back to the reality of the data. I am not saying pets aren't given up for landlord issues. I am saying when you stop checking, it makes no difference. So if I change where my focus is, go ahead, next slide. Oh, this is just getting better and better. If I change my policy to say support renters instead of policing them, I am no longer wasting my time, which is pretty valuable. My volunteers, my staff. It's a lot to pay staff. It's a lot to suck time out of volunteers. But all of a sudden, all right, let's just go ahead and look at that screen because it actually has pictures on it. All of a sudden, I have something in my paperwork, my questionnaire for my adopters, that alerts them to that fact, because I don't want to hide it. I want to say, hey, some of your places may have rental permission that is needed. We want to make you aware of that. Please let us know if you have any questions. Because we already know people are renting and not getting that permission, and things are turning out okay most of the time. Not all of the time, most. And I'm not building my policies on those times it's going to fail because they're the minority. I want to build my policy on the times it succeeds so I can get more animals into those homes. I want to have people go home and be like, yeah, I got money. All of a sudden you have more donations, more time, more things to do with more animals. You can bring in more bunnies, and you're not sacrificing the quality of homes. You're just changing your policies. The policy is supportive, support renters. It doesn't say don't do this. It says, hey, what can we do? I might work with more groups or condos and apartments in my community and let them know that we have more services if any of their residents have problems with pets or bunnies, you name it. There are other things we can do to enhance that policy. But I'm going to go ahead and strip it. So I'm not saying, again, that it's not an issue. We know that rental permission is an issue. But how I choose to act on that is totally different. Next slide. Oh my goodness. Well, this is just bad. So you don't want to be the bunny police for that slide over there. Go ahead, next slide. Next slide. Oh, that's looking bad. Anything working? All right. I want to talk about what you guys could consider. 3 other things. You want to look at your return policy, you want to look at your rehoming policy, and you want to look at being a resource. So let's just have you look at me, because I'm up here in my fake leather skirt and I'm so much more exciting than my blank screen behind me. When you look at returns, it's a problem. We get all panicky about them and we get really disappointed about them. It really adds to our compassion fatigue. If you embrace returns, you'll do better. We know statistically when you have a satisfaction guaranteed type of policy, a no-fault return policy, you get more people adopting. Better, it does not negatively impact your return rate. You may have more returns if you have more adoptions. That part is true. So if I told you that your return rate would never change, I would be a liar. But if you figure you're only adopting out, say, 10 bunnies a year, 1 comes back, and you bump it up to 50 bunnies a year, and 1 comes back, I'm okay with that. Return rates, also, they look very different at different places. The agency I worked at one point had switched, and it was any animal that was returned in 6 months was considered a return, and after that it was just considered a surrender. And then they switched how they documented it. So how am I to track numbers when there's no national opinion of what a return is? Let's also look at rehoming. We know that nationwide, one of the top ways people get pets are from friends and family. I don't want to go against like, hey, Aunt Tilly dies and you take in her cat or her rabbit. That's a good thing. But I can play that up more. I can tell my adopters right now as they're going home, hey, if you've got a bunny and this isn't working out, you can always bring the bunny back to us. But if you know it's going to work at Cousin Bob or your friend's house, we want to help you. Even if you don't know who's going to take that rabbit, you can let us know. We'll help you rehome it. We can help you with, on our website, we have an additional place where animals that are still in their homes but looking to be rehomed get posted. It may be that I send people towards you and you become essentially a foster to surrender type of case. There are lots of options. Guys, thanks for fastening your seatbelts because I'm going at top speed here. Everything I'm covering, and my slides aren't showing, you're going to be able to access online. There's an electronic handout that you'll be given, well, that you'll be sent, and it's got all the links to the adopter's welcome material. There is a manual. There's what's called a DIY, do it yourself. If you're not sure where to start and you really want to put this into action, and you don't know where to begin, it'll take you through the steps that, it's just one plan of how we think it might work. But there are also 5 webinars. It's me. You can listen to them until you go to sleep. They're available 24 hours, and they are entirely free. So if you want to put some of this into action, and I'm going to let you know, if you don't believe me, if you're ticked off right now, if your stomach has completely stopped digesting breakfast because some of this seems like fighting words, listen to those 5 webinars because it's going to take a slower time and walk you through what works. You guys have a lot of power. You, sitting in this room, are some of the foremost funny adoption people probably in the world. The United States tends to lead a lot of the programming for animal adoption. You can track your data now. You can pull together so that we know what's happening in California and Colorado and Virginia, and all of a sudden we start realizing when we did this, we got that. So I highly encourage you to do that. I know I'm running over time. Go through and see if there's anything else. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. This is all important stuff. All right, so on that slide, save the picture. Adopters Welcome at humanesociety.org is the Humane Society of the United States, HSUS's, that's their inbox. If you want to talk to me directly, that's hunky-dory. That's my new at Humane Society of Charlotte email address. I'll be around today and tomorrow if you've got additional questions. And then you can access all the Adopters Welcome material from the e-handouts you're going to get. So now, everybody in the room, please put up their hands. These are the people that are going to listen to the 5-part webinar series. They're going to do it in their pajamas or naked or however way you choose to do it, whatever way. But do that. So today is kind of at the end of October. We're at October 21st. By December 31st, all of you have got to watch those 5 different webinars. And you're going to get with the other people in your group and you're going to figure out what works. And if it ticks you off, you're going to figure out how to make it work because there's a way to work it for bunnies. Thank you for letting me run over.
And our next speaker is Ann Martin. Ann Martin is Executive Director of the International House Rabbit Society and Shelter Director of the Richmond, California Rabbit Center, which is also HRS headquarters. And she's a board member of Harvest Home Animal Sanctuary. Since joining HRS in 2013, Ann has made significant and visible impact on the organization. She has skillfully networked to create multiple new vendor relationships, resulting in dramatically expanded fundraising. She has quadrupled HRS's monthly donor program and launched a low-cost spay-neuter clinic serving the entire Bay Area. And for the last 11 years, Ann has lived and rescued rabbits, otherwise known as vegan cats.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how House Rabbit Society headquarters has used adoption promotions as a way to get more adopters through the doors, piggybacking on what Suzanne just talked about. So why would you want to do an adoption promotion? You know, your doors are open all the time, people can come to you. Maybe you should just wait for them to come in. So doing a promotion creates urgency. You want them to adopt now and not later. You know, they've been thinking about getting a rabbit, but you know, they lost one 6 months ago, and you know, maybe it's not the right time. If you do a promotion, that helps those people to make the decision to come in now. It gets attention. It gets on people's radar. It gets your organization on people's radar. It's exciting. People like a special. We all get coupons and mailers in our mailboxes all the time about different specials all over the place. And so this just helps get you on people's radar. More people in the door equals more education. So even if not everybody comes and adopts a rabbit during our special, you're going to be talking about rabbits and doing education work. And you're going to be expanding the knowledge that's out there to help rabbits. And if you're worried about bringing people in, that you're going to attract the wrong kinds of people with your promotion, and then they're going to want to adopt your animals, you want to trust your adoption process. So go to this Adopters Welcome materials and look at all the materials on how to build a process that you can trust. And because if you don't trust your adoption process, it doesn't matter how much you charge for an adoption fee. You know, $20, $100. The adoption fee is kind of irrelevant if you have the wrong person who will hand you the money. You want to have an adoption process that you and your organization trust and you feel great about, because the money is really secondary. And if you don't trust your adoption process, change it. We can encourage people to adopt a friend for their rabbit, and that's part of our philosophy, that rabbits love to have a friend, and they're a social species, they want that companionship, and so by doing promotions, we can encourage people to get a friend for their buddy. You can also use promotions if there's a surge of animals that you're taking in a big rescue situation, big hoarding group. You need to do something to help get your numbers down. You can use promotions. You can also plan ahead for slow times of the year. So I'll have our adoption numbers from the last 3 years, and you will quickly see which month is our slowest month. So we can plan ahead for that month and figure out a good promotion and try to do something counter-cyclical. All right, and this is another one of those things that there's a lot of research about that a lot of people are uncomfortable with, but looking at the research, it's so interesting. So if we look at the research on free adoptions, just waiving adoption fees, there's been a lot of research done on cat adoptions. And the links to this, you'll have this presentation emailed to you so you can actually go and look at these studies directly. But the study in 2009, comparison of attachment levels of adopters of cats, fee-based adoptions versus free adoptions. It was a study at a humane society where they did a promotion where they waived the fees and they studied those people. And the same facility, during their normal months when they had adoption fees, they studied those people. So they had these two groups, and they found that the adopters who didn't pay a fee were just as emotionally attached to the cats as the people that paid a fee. So just because they paid $100 didn't mean that they loved them anymore, and just because they didn't pay $100 didn't mean that they were devalued and they didn't think they were valuable and they didn't love them any less. So the dollar amount actually had no bearing on attachment and how much they loved them. And that level of attachment and not income is more directly correlated with vet care and keeping them in the end. So it's actually the people that love them and connect with them that are going to keep them, and that doesn't have anything to do with the $20 or the $100. I have seen this many times, I'm sure you guys have seen this, that it's the willingness to pay for vet care, not the ability to pay for vet care. I've seen people surrender animals to the animal shelter in terrible shape that drive up in Beamers, and the animals have not gotten vet care. And I know students who love their rabbits more than anything, and they'll take extra student loan money out to be able to pay the vet care for their rabbits. So it's about that level of attachment, how much they love their buddy, and their willingness to make it work, and not how much money they have in the bank. Edmonton Humane Society, they did a second study, and they looked at the statistical difference for veterinary care. And they found that there was no difference for veterinary care for the cats that were adopted when they waived the fees versus when they had an adoption fee. So it's not about, if you waive a $100 adoption fee, well, how do we know that they have money for vet bills if they can't even pay the fee? This is more about a promotion. You're doing a promotion, you're waiving the $100, you're actually getting basically the same exact people. They're just really excited because they know that you want them to come in. You want them to come in so much you're waiving your fees. They come in, and they're going to provide the same level of vet care even though they didn't pay that fee. There's also no statistical difference between people keeping their cats if they paid the fee or not. So it's exactly the same. The return rate is going to be the same whether or not they paid the $100. And 80% of the adopters who didn't pay a fee said that they strongly agree that the organization considers those cats valuable and they would adopt again. So you don't have to feel like, well, if House Rabbit Society doesn't charge me $100, they don't even care about this rabbit. They're giving them away. And 80% of adopters felt very strongly that that was not the case. And there's more research on this if you go to the Maddie's Fund website at the bottom. All right. It's over there. Okay, we're gonna play this other screen game again. Oh man. And I just have 10 minutes. So it's harder for me to get all the fine points from here, but basically Maddie's Fund has been doing these fee-waived adoption events, and so they looked at the data for one of these big fee-waived adoption events across the entire Bay Area, all cats and dogs, and basically, it's so hard for me to see from here. basically, the takeaways are that the pets stayed in their homes just as much as the pets that were adopted from the other organizations. The return rate was really low. Basically, it was 90%, I think, were retained in the homes. I think the next slide, there's some summaries. Oh man, oh, this is terrible. Oh, yeah, so the adoption demographics. So this was really interesting, same Maddie's fun study about the people that came in to adopt during the fee waived weekend. So I just put this up there because I thought it was really interesting. And you know, I don't know the exact demographic of all of our adopters, but I would guess this is probably pretty similar. More heavily women than men came in to adopt during a fee waived weekend with free adoptions. And if you look at the income distribution, I thought this was really interesting because it's actually really heavily weighted towards middle and upper incomes that are coming in to adopt for free weekends. So just because the fee is waived, that the adoption is free, doesn't mean that it's going to be people who can't afford it that are coming in to adopt. Everybody gets excited about a special, and so they come down. All right. All right, so we've got all the cute graphics over on the other side. So these are, now I'm just gonna rush through a bunch of specials that we've tried in the last 2 years at House Rabbit Society and what's worked for us to see if there are some ideas that might be helpful for you guys at your organizations. So we did adopt a friend for your rabbit for free if they've been at HRS for more than 2 months. And so, you know, this was like our first free adoption promotion that we did. And we're like, if people bring in their rabbit, we know they have a spayed and neutered rabbit, we can see how well they're being taken care of, and we can talk about, you know, the care that they're already providing to their rabbit. And this was a big success, and we're helping them to find a friend for their rabbit, which is what we want. We want people to have a friend for their bunny. 8 out of the 23 eligible rabbits for this month that we ran the special were adopted, which was a third of them. It was great. And 5 out of the 7 white pink-eyed rabbits that we had got adopted as friends for other bunnies. This is our most successful way at getting white pink-eyed rabbits into homes, is as a friend for another rabbit. So this adoption promotion was huge for us. We had 2 returns because of bonding frustrations. You know, people didn't want to bring them in for more help and just figured, you know, it just wasn't going to work. And, you know, we have returns for bonding frustrations during the rest of the year. You know, no harm came to those bunnies. They came back and we found them new homes and it was fine. But, you know, we got a lot more rabbits adopted than we would have otherwise. Then we did adopt a bonded pair, get a $50 gift card to our shop. So we got 5 out of our 8 bonded pairs adopted in a month. And so everybody here knows bonded pairs are really hard to find homes for, and they will sit for a long time, and everybody gets to know them really well, and it's just really hard to find homes for bonded pairs unless they're really, you know, fancy looking. And almost all of our bonded pairs got adopted in a month, and that's 10 rabbits. We did have 1 return. The people had a dog at home, and one of the rabbits was scared of the dog. This is what they told us. I took that same pair to an adoption event the next weekend that had dogs and cats, and the rabbits were fine with all the dogs all around, so who knows? But the rabbits were fine. They came back to us. We found them in your home. It wasn't a big deal. And the cost of this is not that expensive. So $50 gift card to our shop. So if you think about it, about the cost of goods, we have a markup on our goods. So it's really only about $35 that we're spending in goods to give a $50 value. So then if you multiply that out, by the 5 pairs that got adopted, we only spent $175 to get 5 bonded pairs adopted. And what's cut off of the slide at the bottom is our adoption fee for the pairs is $100. So we got 5 pairs adopted, and you multiply that out, and we got more in income from the adoptions than we paid in the promotion. So, and you know, and those pairs would have been with us a long time. So this was really a great way to get those pairs into homes. So the cute graphic is over here. Adopt a friend for free. So we did it without the like they have to have been here for 2 months thing. That's been a great hit. All right, adopt a white bunny, 50% off. This is the least successful one. it's hard to find homes for white bunnies. And I don't know if it was a combination, of the two things, that just 50% off is less exciting than free or a $50 gift card. So it could be that. Or it could just be that promoting the white bunnies just in and of themselves wasn't as exciting and just didn't bring people through the doors in the same way. Because when we did the other promotions, we got white bunnies adopted in droves. But when we highlighted just specifically for white bunnies, we had a hard time. So unfortunately, that one didn't work out as well. All right, and then we were like, okay, it doesn't have to be $50 for a bonded pair. Let's just do, if you adopt this month, we'll give you a $50 gift card to the shop. I mean, the other nice thing about this is people are spending it in the shop and they're buying the supplies that we want them to take home, because we've got all these great supplies and great food. So they're buying the stuff that we want them to have. And a lot of those people are spending more than the $50 because they think it's really cool that we're giving them $50. And so they spend another $50, $80, $100. So it's actually stimulating them to spend more money in the shop. So at the end of the day, even though we're giving them something, we're spending something, they're also giving back to us. And this one is something we're doing right now that's really exciting. So the graphics are over there. We have a couple bunnies who have, their adoption fee has been sponsored by people in our community. Everyone from board members to people that have fostered the rabbit. We had somebody that did a foster to adopt, and it didn't work out with the bonding with their rabbit, but they really cared about the bunny and wanted to sponsor their adoption fee. They wanted to pay it. So we've started doing this. We have about 6 bunnies right now, specifically whose adoption fees have been paid. And what we've seen is that most of the people that adopt these bunnies, when we tell them that the adoption fee has been paid, they want to pay for another rabbit's adoption fee. So it's like this, Starbucks, and somebody pays for your drink, and then you pay for the next person's drink, and it just keeps going. And that's what's happening with us right now. And they feel really good. Somebody really cares about this rabbit must be really special. And then they want to do that for another rabbit to help that other rabbit get adopted. So it's been working out really well for us, and was kind of an unexpected thing. And in the beginning, we were a little bit nervous, even though I've read all the studies, and I know that doing the free adoptions, we're going to attract great people. You still are just like a little bit nervous about, like, we're just going to try it. We're going to try it and see if it works out. And all of these adopters have been fabulous. And they're either, paying it forward and sponsoring the adoption fee for another bunny. Some people are just writing us a donation check. They're like, I'm not paying an adoption fee, but here's a check for $100, or, I don't have to pay the adoption fee, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I care about the work that you guys do. So this has really worked out well for us. All right, and this is something I picked up last weekend. I was at a conference with rescue groups in San Francisco, and I had the privilege of listening to Sherry Franklin, who runs Muttville, speak, and then going over and having a tour of the Muttville facility with Sherry. And Muttville focuses on senior dogs and senior dogs with medical issues. So in a lot of ways, the work that she does is very similar to the work that we do, because she's really working with animals that traditionally have a harder time getting adopted, and they have a harder time finding a home. And what they have been doing is, if at the time of adoption, they will offer to the adopter that if they sign up for their monthly giving club and become a sustaining donor at $25 a month or more, they'll waive the adoption fee. And their adoption fee is $200 for their dogs. So it'll be a free adoption if they sign up to be a monthly donor at $25 or more, because those people then become a part of their family and a part of their community, and those people will continue to give, and will give much more over their experience with the organization as a donor. They will give more than $200. And those people are going to come back and adopt more dogs in the future, and really become a part of that community in a new way. So that was something I was really excited to learn from Muttville, and something that we're going to be trying out at House Rabbit Society as well. All right, and then, yay, this one turned out. Okay, so this is 3 years worth of data, and this is our adoption numbers by month. And you can see, it varies a little bit month by month. I don't know if you can tell here, so this is the end of the year. And this is our slowest month. This is November. right? Everybody's super busy with the holidays. You're getting ready to have family over, you're gonna be preparing a meal, and you're thinking about Christmas, and you're gonna have to go Christmas shopping. Like, people are just not thinking about adopting a rabbit in November. So, and I don't know if everybody's data looks like this. It's a great thing to do, pull your data together, look at your adoption numbers for a few years, check it out. And I actually looked at the statistical significance of this, and the numbers are actually, the months are statistically different. Thank you. This is the last slide. So there is a statistical difference between months in terms of adoption numbers by month. And November is always the worst statistically. So thinking ahead, we can use some of these promotion ideas to plan ahead for our slow times. We know November is going to be bad. So what are some of the tricks we have up our sleeve to try to get people in to adopt now rather than waiting until January? Because we need homes for rabbits in November. Rabbits come into the shelters, people are preparing for Christmas, they're going to be traveling. Rabbits are still coming in those months, and we still need to find homes for them. So these promotions are a great way to start thinking kind of outside the box about how to help yourself during difficult times. All right, and that is my last slide.